Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is 29th April, Wednesday 2026 and I'm Abdul Majid Awan.
And I'm Warid Ahmed, and for today's headlines, the UAE has left OPEC. Gulf funds are going to own about 38% of Paramount, Warner Bros, and Citadel is going to be setting up in Dubai. And right now, something extremely big is going on. It's probably going to be the most watched court cases in history, the same way we all tuned in for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. But this time, it's Elon Musk and it's Sam Altman. And, just to give you the gist of it, it's just basically Elon Musk really mad, trying to take Sam Altman out of the board because of the fact that they founded OpenAI together that is behind ChatGPT. And the entire purpose of the company was for it to be a nonprofit. However, from what we have seen with how Sam Altman took it forward, I was really surprised to actually find out that at some point he was leading Y Combinator. And if you know Y Combinator, it is behind the success of so many actually Middle Eastern founders like Amjad Masad, Tariq Mansour, that is behind Kalshi. Like, that's where they got their push from. But the point is that, this is a company that is valued at like $850 billion. In fact, they're set to IPO at $1 trillion. And obviously, there's so many different perspectives in place here, Majid. I don't think somebody like Elon Musk, world's richest man, really cares about the people. I just think he cares about the fact that he's trying to IPO at like $1.75 trillion. And this is just like, okay, let me take my competition out the way. And court cases are a great way to do that.
Yeah, and we all know the Musk and Altman feud. But there's so many things that are happening around. There's not just the court case.
Yeah.
It's yesterday there was a report by Wall Street Journal that OpenAI missed all their revenue targets. So yesterday, every company, literally every company which is linked with OpenAI, so Oracle, apart from that, all the companies that I've been talking about last time, the companies which provide energy for infrastructure, data centers, which provide the real estate for. Every single company dipped. There was nearly like 10-15% drops. Oracle dropped nearly 10% of their price. It was 176. They dropped to 150 something. So if we are in, it's so interesting that we're in the middle of something historical. I always thought when I was growing up that internet was the best thing that happened to the world, and it literally changed how we communicate, how work is defined and everything. Now work is Slack and Click and WhatsApp and calls and Zooms and all this. It wasn't like that. You used to go out of the house, go to an office, work, come back. There was only one telephone available in the company. Your family wanted to call them, they called on the phone. Now it's so concentrated. But with AI, we still don't know what will happen. Every day we see something new. Claude comes up with Claude Code, software companies tank. So software engineers, which has been one of the most rewarding professions in the last 2 decades, randomly software engineers go out of business and software companies lose trillions of dollars in a night as soon as Claude Code is launched. Then one fine day, Wall Street Journal, just one headline that OpenAI didn't meet its revenue and profit targets. The whole infrastructure around OpenAI, everyone tanks. Now Elon Musk takes Sam Altman to the court. If Elon Musk wins, a lot of people won't understand the complexity of it. It is an ego war between the world's richest man and one of the most famous persons who will be named whenever the new Gen AI or the LLMs or ChatGPT will be talked about, Sam Altman. These two people do have an ego war. Obviously, at that stage where you have the money and everything, there is an ego war. But there is also a war for what the future of AI might look like. The problem here is we have seen AI being monetized, right? AI, you pay for the better version and you don't pay for the dumber version. I call them the dumber version because I've started using the older versions just to check like what's the difference. So I asked the same question to Claude and their new version Haiku 4.5. You ask the same question, it'll give you such a nice, well balanced, well researched,
Claude is great. I
up
love
to
Claude.
date. Like even if something broke half an hour ago, it will search on internet and find it. And then you go to the lower models, it will talk to you like you're living in 2017.
I just think
you pay for
Yeah.
these services
you
now.
do, and I just think like if you notice the UAE, specifically their partnership with OpenAI, it's so intentional. And imagine like when I say intentional, I mean it in the sense of notice how, and of course, OpenAI has investors from the UAE, Mubadala, MGX, and we saw this in documents, and you can clearly go on X and you can just look it up. But the point here is that if you have noticed what they have done with, OpenAI, it's so unique because we remember when Trump first got elected, and they all got on that stand, and you can see Larry. David Ellison, you can see him standing there, and you can see Sam Altman standing there, and you have Trump on the podium and just chatting. The point here is that they said, okay, we're going to have Stargate US. We're going to have Stargate US. It's going to be more than $400 billion. It's going to build data centers across the entirety of the US, and we're going to have the UAE as an investor. This is something that Hussein Sejwani, the Damak developer, definitely bought into. He's like, you know what? Maybe it's not, against the backdrop of Stargate, but he came in and he said, listen up, I'm putting in $20 billion to invest across the US. But then, this is someone with a privately owned company. This is their own entity. But then what did the UAE government do? They came in and they said, okay, fine. We're a part of this, $400 billion deal. What we're going to do is, no, we're not going to make it Stargate US. We're going to make it Stargate UAE. We're going to make it a local-based thing. We're going to make them come to our country, bring all of these big guys together, bring Oracle, bring Microsoft, and you guys, you're going to set up base in Abu Dhabi. Which I think is actually so genius because what it has turned into is not, okay, guys, we're going to invest, we're going to do the thing that we Arabs always do. We're going to inject capital and you guys take it and you build on it and we get the profits. The UAE was thinking local. They were thinking local. How are we going to benefit? How are we going to benefit from this? And I think that in itself, I think, is its own morality. You need that. You need somebody who's going to be bold and going to say, no, you guys are going to bring it to our country. It's going to be the largest data center outside of the US, and our local base, our local talent is going to benefit from this. And I think that's so important. And it's like, sorry, this is like so random, but like, how you were mentioning Slack, and I just like remembered Zoho, and I went to their offices before, and Zoho, it's an Indian-based company, and their story, it's so inspiring. So I hope I'm saying his name right, Majid. It's Sridhar Vembu.
Yes.
He is the founder, and when he from what I know, he did not come from a privileged family. When he founded the company, he bootstrapped it. He refused to take external funding. And you know what he did? He took Zoho and he built local bases, local companies' offices across rural communities that could not even afford to have offices like this. And the reason I just brought him up, I brought Sridhar up, is because of the fact of this was somebody. Yes, they're operating at completely different levels. The UAE is one of the most wealthiest nations in the world. But what is going on here? What is how are they synergizing here? They're thinking local. And thinking local is something that is so important. When you think about your own people, are their skills growing? Are they upskilling? And that is the process that is a part of it.
It's not a contention against Stargate UAE, but I have realized it's a very nice project, to be honest. It's one of the biggest projects out of, it is the biggest project out of the US. The infrastructure cost, UAE has, if it's a 7-part giant AI and infrastructure, UAE has 2 big parts to them. They have the real estate to build it, the space to build it, and also they have the energy to push it. So Again, yesterday I was looking at one of the companies, very interesting companies that are popping up in the scene right now, Applied Optoelectronics. So what they do is basically they've now started taking oil, gas, whatever energy source you give them, they take that and without any smoke creation, it's called non-combustion, but
Yo,
without
so
creating
it's
any
sustainable.
smoke. Yeah, so it's not affecting the environment, and they take that energy and convert it into electricity. So it's something which have been going on, but a lot of people didn't notice them, or they were too expensive to put in place. But with AI and the mammoth energy demand that they have, you will need these companies, and obviously that's why they're popping up. Everyone's talking about it. So I was looking at it, and then I realized that part of the puzzle, the 7-part puzzle that I call it now, UAE has 2, Saudi actually has 3 or 4. What I have realized over the years, Saudi could have done all of this that UAE has done more and better and faster. But I don't know, policy wise, decision wise, bureaucracy, systems, everything, UAE has always been proactive. So on a macro level, I always see
No,
that
that's
UAE
true.
is always very proactive. They see the opportunity 10 years before anyone else sees us. But coming back to Musk, Altman, I was actually reading what Musk said. He took the stand against Sam Altman. Very funnily, he didn't go in and just barge in and simply say, no, he's wrong, he wants money and this and that. He actually started with the story of AI. He's like, in at least a year or two, we will see AI become more smarter than human beings. And he was talking about average general intelligence, AGI, which is the next frontier. Everyone wants to build the next AGI. So whoever cracks the code, if Musk with his XAI cracks the code, if Sam Altman with ChatGPT, I think probably Anthropic will. But all of these people, they're going for average general intelligence, like a chatbot who is equally intelligent to at least, I would say, a 10-year-old kid. Understands feelings, understands nuances, perspectives, everything. So they are trying to build that. He started with that and very nicely put that if we reach average general intelligence and if ChatGPT is a for-profit company, then it won't be a good thing. And he gave the example of Microsoft. Apparently, he has a problem with Microsoft as well. He's like, as soon as OpenAI went in a partnership with Microsoft, he realized that it's become a for-profit company. It's like, I was never about the company shouldn't make money or shouldn't get funding. He was like, I've always wanted the money to come in for research. Otherwise, I wanted this to be for the betterment of humanity. So basically, his idea is that the people who pay $200 for the ChatGPT, the highest version, is like, I would have given it for $20, which the minimum is for. So that's his idea. He doesn't want, and the case is very
controlling.
funny.
Very
He
controlling,
is controlling,
though.
but
He is controlling.
his whole argument, to be honest, in this whole debate, Musk's argument sounds better because he is claiming reputational damage. Because he's saying that at some point I was linked with it, and if in the future OpenAI or ChatGPT and this company somehow does what I am thinking, that they go for profit and they control the world through all of that, then I shouldn't be the one blamed because I actually am one of the founders.
Damn.
So he has claimed reputational damage for it.
True, but you know what, Majid? That still is a sign that he is afraid that in the future he's going to get sued along with Sam Altman, and he's going to get in trouble. And he's like, you know what? Let me jump out of this court case right now. But I think what was so crazy for me is to find out that the lawyer who was helping engineer the Warner Bros. Deal got $63 million in 3 months. I am absolutely shook. Sign me up to that. Like, that is, Majid, that is a crazy amount. But anyways.
The last point, sorry, I forgot completely this. This also happened yesterday. One of the things that everyone is looking at, obviously, ChatGPT, OpenAI is the biggest one right now in LLMs, right? $850 billion. Then we have Claude, 500 something. Actually, they rose up to 600 or 750 something. But they're the biggest one. And yesterday also, Microsoft announced that they are concluding their exclusive partnership with OpenAI. So before, Microsoft would only use OpenAI for everything. Now they're not, and they stopped revenue sharing with OpenAI. So Microsoft, using ChatGPT, whatever money they were making, they were giving some part of it to OpenAI. Now they're not. So to be honest, right now, if you talk about brain, you look at all the logical and rationale behind Musk's argument, he wins. You look at the emotional angle of it, as a person, if I will be affected, actually Musk
Yeah.
wins the argument.
True.
But obviously the
But
court will decide.
I don't honestly, I don't really feel bad for billionaires at this
Yeah.
point. Like, let them go to court together. But right now, specifically with the UAE, with everything
Yes.
that they're doing, what we're seeing right now, Majid, it's not even efficiency anymore. We always talk about their efficiency, trying to make the government in 2 years use, 50% of its services are AI, but
Yeah.
I think it's becoming the story of financial control. It's not about efficiency, it's about financial control, and the UAE has officially announced that it will exit OPEC and OPEC Plus effective May 1st, 2026, ending nearly 6 decades of membership. The move follows a review of its production strategy and capacity, marking a major shift in how the country positions itself within global energy markets.
And UAE, some history, joined OPEC in 1967, even before the UAE as we know it was founded in 1971. They were one of the founding members. They have long played a role in stabilizing the oil markets. Officials say the decision reflects a policy shift towards greater flexibility, allowing the country to respond faster to global supply and demand dynamics while maintaining a very responsible approach.
The UAE emphasized that it will continue supporting market stability despite stepping away from the alliance. It highlighted its role as a producer of cost competitive and lower carbon barrels, positioning itself to meet growing global demand while balancing sustainability and affordability across energy markets.
And the announcement also comes amid ongoing regional volatility, including disruptions in the Arabian Gulf. However, the UAE pointed to long-term demand growth, saying its strategy is focused on scaling production very responsibly while maintaining stability in global supply chains and energy pricing.
Going forward, the UAE plans to gradually increase production in line with market conditions while continuing investments across oil, gas, renewables, and low carbon energy. Officials say the focus will remain on economic diversification, investor commitments, and supporting a stable global energy system. And I quite honestly, Majid, when I saw this story, I was like, man, these people do not stop. For all the employees in the UAE who are thinking, yo, with this war, some of us are going to have a bit of a break. No, you're not. No, you're not going to, because I specifically mentioned this word, financial control, Majid, is because what we're seeing is that they've really jumped up so quickly. And they were like, we want to swap currency line with the US.
Yeah.
Every possible thing to hedge against the effects of the war with Iran, they're doing it. And this is a part of it. And I think, remember that speech that I remember you were so obsessed with it, the one by Sultan Al Jaber, the group CEO of ADNOC, when he said, energy is the future. We care about energy.
Make energy great again.
Yeah, yes. Literally,
Yeah.
it wasn't make America great again. It
Yeah.
was make energy great again. But that energy that they had a year ago, I think that this was coming. This was coming, and there was kind of this sense of foreboding over the years as you hear all of these countries talking that. And even Donald Trump is not really a fan of them, and he makes it clear all the time. I don't know if we care that much, but he makes it clear.
To be honest, we were part of OPEC, I think,
Yeah.
as when I was in Pakistan, because I haven't seen OPEC a lot in the last few years. To be honest, they lost their, how do you say, their importance in the world, because there was a point in the world when OPEC produced nearly 85% of the global oil. It was a time where they could control a lot of stuff. There is the 1973, I think, oil embargo, where Egypt and I think Syria attacked Israel. And then the whole OPEC was like, if you do oil business with Israel, or any business with Israel, we won't sell you oil. So it was a very, I can't go into the detail because it will be a 3-hour long lecture. But they have used oil as leverage in the world, OPEC. Problem right now is that OPEC's role in the world has dropped nearly to 45-50%, as far as I was reading the whole night what will happen to the oil prices. So 45 to 50% still, this is leverage. They can stop the world, but they can't literally like go and be like, you don't do this, we'll increase the price of oil or we won't sell you oil. Whereas America now has bigger reserves. Russia is already selling here and there, wherever they can.
By kidnap.
Yeah, Iran already has a lot of oil. So the whole idea around this is, just to give you a perspective, OPEC basically controls the price of the oil by controlling the production. So Saudi can, if they want, tomorrow, within 6 months, extract all the oil they have in Saudi Arabia and sell it and make all the money and give away all their debts and become like super rich country. They can't. They won't. Whereas that will literally break the supply chain of oil. UAE can also do that. UAE can literally take 6 months to 1 year, extract every single drop of oil and sell it to the market. They'll sell it at cheap, they'll sell it in quantity, so still they will make a lot of money. That was the idea of OPEC, that don't do that. Come together, form an alliance, and every country will get a quota.
Yeah.
So the quota was decided on the basis of size, on the basis of the power that you had, on the basis of oil that you had. So projections, everything came into effect. Saudi Arabia, when OPEC started, was allowed nearly 9 million barrels per day. They rose up to 12 to 13 billion barrels as of now. UAE from the start with 3 million barrels and they grew up to 6 million, then came down to 5. Now, right now, before the Strait of Hormuz closed, they were at around 4 million barrels per day. You see the difference between Saudi and UAE. Saudi was allowed 12, UAE was allowed 4. You sell the oil at the same price, but you extract less oil in the UAE. So the idea, I think, to get out of OPEC is they see the demand in the future. As soon as the Strait of Hormuz opens, obviously right now, even the oil prices today in the morning and in the night, they didn't move at all. It is one of the most historic decisions which will be taught in history to the world, that UAE after 6 decades opted out of OPEC, blah, 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 blah regions. It will be taught. The problem is the effects won't come right now. The effects will come as soon as the Strait of Hormuz opens, the backlog clears, and then the world sees that the oil prices drop. They are nearly 120, 125. They drop to 100 sometimes when Mr. Trump says something good about the war. But they will come down at some point to $45 to $50.
Correct
Good
me
for
if-
you and me.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I know, this is why I'm happy, by the way. I don't want to say it, but I'm like, you know what? Go UAE. But correct me if I'm wrong, Qatar left in about, I think, 2019. And, you know, I keep thinking about Qatar and their influence and how such a small nation has been able to rise up the ladder to become one of the largest exporters of liquid natural gas in the world. I know, albeit $20 billion of it was wiped out because of Iran, but I mean, because of the conflict. You know, I always like to say it's the US-Israel war on Iran. It's not really just the Iran conflict. But my point here is to say, you know, you look at Qatar, the kind of influence that they've had, and I think that, you know, we always mention Trump's visit last year, you know, during May, because of the fact that it was such a crazy show of wealth. It was a show of wealth to see that Qatar can just hand off like $2 billion worth of planes to just say, we've just signed a $1 trillion deal with Trump. And you know, for so many news headlines to creep up and say that they own more of England than the king himself. So to see their impact and their running impact has been great, and they've been taking part in all investments, particularly in media investments. So Paramount's planned acquisition of Warner Bros. Discovery will actually see the Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds take a combined 38.5% equity stake in the merged company, according to a new filing. So the $111 billion deal marks one of the largest media transactions globally and underscores Gulf Capital's growing influence in the U.S. entertainment.
And Saudi Arabia's public investment fund will hold the largest share out of the Gulf funds, 15.1%, while the UAE sovereign wealth fund Al Imad, which was founded recently, and Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Sheikh Khalid sits as the chair, takes 12.8%, and Qatar Investment Authority takes 10.6%. Together, the three funds are investing close to $24 billion out of the 111, with PIF alone contributing around $10 billion to the transaction.
Despite the significant foreign ownership, Paramount confirmed these investors will not receive board seats or voting rights control will remain with the Ellison family and Redbird Capital, who will retain 100% of voting shares in the largest equity position in the combined company.
The deal has already been approved by Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders, but still requires regulatory clearance. Paramount has filed with the FCC seeking approval for foreign ownership above standard thresholds, although the company noted this step is routine and not required for closing the deal.
Now, once completed, the merger will create a major global media player combining Paramount and Warner Bros. Assets. Analysts say the deal highlights continued Gulf investment in U.S. markets even as geopolitical tensions persist and regulators assess potential antitrust concerns surrounding the transaction. You know, when I saw that name, Redbird Capital, I just immediately thought of what happened with Telegraph. And, you know, I believe they pulled out and then they ended up being bought by a German publisher. But I think just like, you know, with this story generally, Majid, it's so insane. It's so crazy. They're about to take like 38% of it.
Yeah.
That's almost half of it. I don't think like we all realize the scale.
Yeah, the problem is I think they're still are not getting any voting rights, but you can't discount the fact that they will own nearly, 40% of the company. So even if they don't have voting rights, they will have a say. Not official say, not on paper, not in the boardroom, but they will have a say. Funnily, I was writing this story, I was like, let's read what can happen. Rich proposed a very nice idea that we should see what will be the impact on local players. We have NBC, we have Shahid growing, we have SRMG, Tamania with them, then we have OSN Plus, which is in partnership with Dubai. There's so many moving pieces locally as well that if this partnership happens, what will be the impact? Or there is a flip side of it, that what if it's just investment? They think this deal will bring something big, and whatever they invest right now, for example, if Saudi invests $10 billion, they think a good ROI is expected. And to be honest, with such a giant that they're making, a good ROI is 100% expected. Both the users will merge, a lot of big giants will come together. Yesterday I was watching Mortal Kombat 2. It's a Warner Brothers Discovery movie. So the whole movie had like 20 plus references to all the movies. There was like 5 references to Lord of the Rings, at least 10 references to Harry Potter, Gandalf and all these. So everything was there, and I think they're just pushing now older nostalgia. Mortal Kombat is one of the craziest games. Even when I was a kid, it came out. It's so old. But now they've come up with part 1 and now part 2 was released. I can't say anything about it, embargoes. But again, it is a nice movie. The idea was, as soon as the lady came and introduced herself from Warner Brothers, I was like, I will, after the movie, go and talk to her about what's up, how's the mood in Warner Brothers, because you guys are being taken over. Didn't get the time, she was flooded by a lot of people. But the idea is that it is going to be such a big conglomerate. Hopefully it finishes. It's not going to happen in a day or a month. It takes years on years. There is a bet on Polymarket that this may close this year, and a lot of people are against it. So a lot of people are betting against it on Polymarket that this deal will not close or get final close this year.
Honestly, Majid, like when I think about all of it,
you also started using prediction market numbers now.
I love them. They're great, especially Kalshi. Like sometimes I'm reading Kalshi and I'm like, this literally reads like a news platform, which is like not surprising considering the fact that they have partnerships with CNBC, CNN, and now Fox News, which is so big. But my point is, with this entire thing, I understood your point, Majid, about, would this be complicated by the fact that you have a nation like Saudi Arabia that has one of the largest media empires in the entirety of the Gulf, of the Middle East, which is the NBC. The NBC is absolutely iconic, and it came at a time where we didn't have television like that. I'll never forget NBC Action, NBC3, NBC Bollywood was so iconic. But the point here is to say, I think it's important for these kind of Gulf investors to be a part of a deal like this, because there is so much experience, there is so much learning that will come out of something like this. And as for Netflix, I am literally not concerned about them whatsoever. I understand that they were trying to buy into those legacy shows and actually own them rather than outsource and contract them, which they have so far done on Netflix. But I think when I think about Netflix, and I specifically I think about NBC, the future is streaming, Majid. And both of these conglomerates, they've done so well in that, and specifically NBC Shahid. And they're doing something similar. The Saudis are catching up. They are catching up. Like Netflix, the reason why I'm not concerned about them is because of the fact that, you know what they did? They're like, you know what, Shonda Rhimes, you made Grey's Anatomy. We're not gonna. I'm pretty sure you can actually watch Grey's Anatomy on Netflix. They brought Shonda Rhimes. They're like, okay, make Bridgerton. They got the Duffer Brothers that literally nobody knew about, and they're like, okay, come here. We want you to make Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And then the list kept going. You know, they had Money Heist, they had Dark, but even better for that, Netflix went local. It tried to accommodate to the markets that it's setting up in. And how did they do this? They brought over Shireen, and they were like, listen, we want you to make El Rawabi School for Girls. It's this Jordanian show. It's Arabic. It was such a hit. It was famous. And they did all of that. So what did they do? Like, Majid, we don't care about legacy anymore. I want new faces. I don't want to see actors who I saw played in movies when they were 20 and 30. Now it's just all plastic surgery. I don't think anyone wants that. Like, not to be offensive, but people want shows like Al-Ghummada. They want shows like Shari al-Ahsha. You know, to see new actors popping up like Ilham Ali, like Lama Abdul Wahab, like, you know, Khalid, who they all star in Shari al-Ahsha. But this is my point. We need new actors. We need new people. And you know, who knows what role is what's going to happen with Paramount and Warner Bros.
That's why 100 plus new Hollywood stars, they signed a whole petition that this merger shouldn't happen because already the studio budgets are squeezed. People are not paying enough to make movies. They're just paying to make series or somehow feed the content platforms. That's what their idea is. And also there's a whole debate about if the movie is released, will it be released on the streaming platform? Will it go to the theaters? I remember David Ellison, I think he's at so many places. He said at one place that we will somehow agree to the 45-day plan because movie giants, obviously the guys who make the movies, production houses, they don't want the movie to go to the streaming platform. They want people to come to the theater. And usually there's a 60-day period where a movie goes to the theater, 60 days there, and then it comes to the platform. A lot of people, Netflix was saying that we will do platform launches, we won't launch the movie in theaters. Their whole idea was theaters are dead, this screen is the next theater for you, or TV screens at home. But I think that was one of the points that why WBD and Netflix wouldn't have been a nice deal. But now a 45-day middle ground. So David Ellison is playing a nice game. He is making sure that as soon as this deal is done, there is no one saying, oh, we hate this deal, oh, why this? He is trying to keep everyone happy, which is a very difficult task in such deals. Someone at the end of the day will stay unhappy.
Honestly, I think his dad is keeping everyone happy, and he's really close to Donald Trump.
But I think with David Ellison, he's smart. Comes from, I think it's genetics or the business brain or the family that you grow up in. He is smart that he's not making the wrong people unhappy. Like he knows I need to make this person happy and this not. It's very smart. Obviously, when you grow up in a household, if I grow up in a doctor's household, I would know all the medicines, right? By default, because I've grown up in that environment. So he grew up in an environment where business is bread and breakfast, everything. One more thing about Netflix, since you talked about it, Netflix is buying back $25 billion worth of their shares. So after the whole WBD breakdown, they realized that, what happened? After the whole $25 billion, they're buying $25 billion of their shares back. The reason is that they believe in themselves. So usually companies do that. They buy back their shares from you, me, retail investors, because they're like, we know our share price will go up eventually. However, as this news was announced, the share prices tanked and they lost a lot of money. But again, that is what their idea is. So you look at Paramount and WBD and you're like, wow, such a big thing happening. And then you look at Netflix.
Such great friendships happening. I just know, like,
It's
Jared
so
Kushner.
much happening right
Jared
now.
Kushner is sitting there like, man, like, I should have stuck with it. I should have, because he pulled out. Because when we first heard that the Gulf Sovereign Wealth Funds were investing it was also alongside with Kushner. And I think, more and more I find out, Majid, Jared Kushner, he's quite the charismatic person. Just over the weekend, he was hosting the chairman of Abu Dhabi airports and other Emirati officials, and they also met up with Donald Trump. And it's so interesting how he keeps such strong ties with the Gulf, and it's all rounding. I think that his next target is probably Qatar, because from what I've seen, Kushner does appear to be very close to Saudi Arabia, to Saudi Arabian officials, and also to the UAE. I don't think
I think the very first famous deal where Kushner came to this point, the first term of Mr. Trump, as soon as it ended, the very first $2 billion he got from the Gulf was from QIA. After that, they went silent.
He's never pictured with them, though. You never see him there.
So they were like one of the earliest investors, but somehow you're right, they've disappeared from the scene. It's now more UAE, more Saudi, never Qataris. So they did invest at the start, but I think they realized not worth the investment, or they have better revenues to invest.
He is so strategic about it. Like, if we look back at the day when the Abrahamic records were first established and the first, flight from Israel could leave to the UAE, Jared Kushner made sure that he was on that first, as the National coined it, first historic flight. He was on that flight. My guy knew if I get on that flight, I have big chances coming from me.
I think apart from Mr. Trump obviously is the president. He's always the face. He will always be the face. But it's very good to understand how the people who are in the back, they work. And Jared Kushner has been one of the people we've always seen. Whenever last time he became president, Jared Kushner was always there somehow. They signed the Abraham Accords. He was there in the picture. I remember one of our, what's his name, His Highness, he was there, our foreign minister. He signed it. And so all of the, and I saw Jared Kushner in the corner, and I was like, oh my God, he was there too. He's literally everywhere. So
No, I think that the reason why we also, Majid, keep saying that it's important to understand that Jared Kushner is an important friend. We say that because of the fact is, when you're an investor, when you're an Arab investor, and you understand that he's an important friend, then you will also know how to lobby them to get what you want. And the people who exactly knew how to do this are the Khayyat Qatari Syrian brothers. The brothers that made sure that they helped Qatar out of their azma, where they had no milk, where they were blockaded. They helped the country. But the point is to say is that the New York Times published this article basically saying that these brothers, alongside with their younger brother Mohammed, essentially courted the Trump family. The younger brother sent them this tomb-like box with the Trump crest symbol, and the other two brothers, they were like, what? Let's leave Mohammed to the Republicans and to Trump, and let's get in touch with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, and let's build something in Albania. But from what I know, did they try to make a Trump Tower in Albania with Mohammed Al-Abbar, and then the entire thing got canceled? I don't know what's going on with that. But the point here is that there is a lot happening there. And finally, for the last story of the day, Citadel is going to be finally setting up base in the UAE.
And they're actually expanding. They had an office in Abu Dhabi, or they had an office in, they had an office in Abu Dhabi. Now they're coming to Dubai. The idea is Citadel is a $72 billion AUM, assets under management giant. Ken Griffin is the CEO. He's at every event that you see. He was at the FII last edition as well. So a lot of things are moving. We obviously highlight all these openings because the people who have the money, who have the smart money as it's called, they know where to open. And Dubai is one of the places, Abu Dhabi is one of the places, even with the US-Israel war and Iran's attacks here, and
I think especially with this time, if you're noticing, Majid, it's specifically with these investment managers and these equity managers and these tech investors. They're the people that are coming out and saying, "Yo, we still reaffirm our commitment, in this country. Don't pull back your investments. We need them." And I think that the New York's Oprah, they clearly didn't get that hint that you should probably step out and say, we support you guys during this difficult time. Instead, the narrative was, we're struggling during this time, and Saudi giving us that $200 million, like, man, like we really needed it, and now they're pulling out. It was so entitled. I was reading the entire thing, and it was so entitled because basically Saudi, they pulled out of helping out the New York Opera. If you look through the article, it says they signed a memorandum of understanding. Saudi Arabia was never obligated to give them that money.
Yeah.
So
MOUs are not legally binding. They're just an understanding. But Ken Griffin, Citadel CEO, I just remembered. We all know Zoran Mamdani. We covered him when he was being elected the mayor. Recently, Zoran Mamdani, he went to one of the streets in New York. He looked at a penthouse and he said, Ken Griffith's 238 million second home. He just bought it. He's put it here. He doesn't live here. No one lives there. It's a second home, third home kind of investment. And I am going to tax them now. So I just remembered that he did that video. I forgot the name and just randomly I was like, oh, it was Ken Griffin. The whole idea of Mamdani right now is that he is taxing the rich. And that was his main motto. The main thing that he sold to the public.
I think he's doing a great job so far. I saw how he's like, there's a bunch of locations that are holding free matches for people during the World Cup.
But Ken Griffin is obviously crying about it.
Yeah.
He said, sorry, it was a personal attack. He shouldn't have done it. But I think he went to the governor or someone from the New York City, complained about it. He was like, why would he single me out? There's like 100 other billionaires who have penthouses.
I sort of agree. Privacy is important.
Yeah.
Privacy is important.
But please support Mamdani.
And thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is the Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production under the Augustus Media Podcast Network.
Take care. Bye-bye.